The Para Powerlifting world descended upon Egypt for the World Championships. American powerlifter Ashley Dyce was there competing. She joins the show for a recap and to share more about the sport of para powerlifting.
Welcome to Parasport Nation with Alex Smyth and Nathan Clement.
Welcome into Parasport Nation. I'm your host, Alex Smyth, as always, joined by co-host Nathan Clement. Nathan, it's a busy time in the sports world. The Jays lose. We got hockey starting up. We got world championships in para powerlifting. I mean, there's so many different sports to choose from.
I like how it's an automatic already coming out of your mouth. The Leafs lose, so fall is the same as always. But it's been quite a wild time in sports. We had the drama, we had the excitement of the World Series, and we have so much happening in Egypt. We just had hockey happen over in Czechia, and we got big hockey tournaments coming up. But there's also the Youth Para Pan Am Games happening right now in Chile, down in Santiago, which is just exciting to have going on.
Yeah, tons of activity there. Canada is well represented. Athletes are already kind of making into medal contention at the games. But it got me thinking about the competition as a whole in youth and young athlete competitions. And so I want to pose this question to you, Nathan. What minimum age do you think an athlete should be in order to represent their country on an international stage? Because you can see some pretty young athletes competing on some pretty big stages down there.
That's a good question, and that's a tough question that I've not really thought about. And I've had teammates like Danielle Doris, who I believe was 13, 14 years old at the time. She was down in Rio in 2016, and the biggest thing for like athletes who are that age, if they can perform at a high level and be competitive, you want to have them a part of it. But also, like in a sport that requires like physicality, in a sport that requires that little bit of a strain and wear and tear, it's something that for their safety they have to be 16, 17, 18 years old just to be able to handle going, like for example in wheelchair basketball, fighting for a ball, or in para ice hockey, taking a hit, taking stuff like that. So I feel like it's a sliding scale very much depending on what sport you're in or what you're doing. But I'd say like for some individual sports where there's no contact, like 12, 13, 14, if you're good enough, you can compete. Like there's so many athletes on the Olympic side and Paralympic side that are that age that have done quite well for Canada, but also other countries.
Yeah, see, this is where I kind of struggle with it. Obviously not the para athlete on the show, but 12 is way too young. I don't care if it's a like non-contact or individual sport. Like, I think there should be like a minimum age. Like, let's say you set it at 16, and that is like kind of the initial age gap. You have to cross that in order to compete on these like international competitions where you're going to World Cups or World Championships, regardless of the sport. That way, there is a parity across all sport. You know, everyone just has to wait and meet that. I know you get certain competition both on the able-bodied side and the para side where it's like you're getting athletes so young, and it's like that becomes their entire life as well. I think there's also that aspect that I struggle with. Like, I want kids in high school, so at least they have some sort of education kind of commitment as well before you get into a level of high performance athletic competition on an international stage. Once you get to 16, okay, you know, the doors kind of open. You're now in that window that you're a next gen athlete or you're on a national team. There's no concerns over, you know, one sport being letting younger players in opposed to another one. It's equal playing field across the board.
I actually completely agree with your take there, and like having competitions like the Youth Para Pan Am Games happening right now in Chile is a great example because they need to have competitions, they need to perform, they need to have sport, and you can have youth events, youth competitions, youth categories, and we see that a lot in development of wheelchair basketball, para ice hockey, and some other sports that are really taking that leaps and bounds. And if there's opportunities where they can compete, I completely agree with you, Alex.
Yeah, and then even on the able-bodied side, you think about soccer, like they have a bunch of the different under or junior teams or competition. You have the under 21s, you got the under 19s. I think you have the under 16 or 15 as well. So there's multiple different layers because there's such a gap and such a difference in terms of development, size, growth. Everything for an athlete when you're talking about teen years opposed to when you're finally an adult during your 20s, that disparity does shrink quite a bit. So that was just something I had rattling around in my brain, and I want to get your take on it. But something else that I want to get your take on, Nathan, is the sport of para powerlifting, because we have a treat today. U.S. Paralympian Ashley Dyce is here. She recently was in Egypt competing at the World Championships, trying to go and bring home some hardware. She had a solid finish. So I'm excited to welcome her on to PSN because this is the first para powerlifter we've had. And so here is our conversation with Ashley Dyce. Ashley, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So you recently got back from the World Championships in Egypt. You had a pretty solid placement in the competition. How do you feel about that competition?
I feel great about it. It was a great start to my season, or like that road to LA 28. And, I did my best. All my lifts look great. That's the first time I ever competed that well and got all white lights for all three of my lifts. So I'm excited. I'm happy. And I'm just ready to keep going forward as the season progresses.
Ashley, thank you for joining us. What was the preparation heading into World Championships in Egypt like?
The preparation is tough. I always say the competition is the easy part, but long training hours, days, a lot of mental training, eating well, sleeping early, waking up early. All of that really finally comes together. And then you see the performance there in Cairo. You see that, it all came together right there at the end.
Now, a lot of our audience may not be familiar with powerlifting. You're our first powerlifter we've had on the program. Can you kind of run through some of like the classifications and rules? Because for someone who's maybe tuning in for the first time, they may not have all that knowledge.
Yeah, well, happy I'm the first. But for our classification, we don't have like a many tier system, maybe like how track and field or swimming does. Our classification is just as long as you have a disability from the waist down, you're able to lift. And then they're separated between gender, men and women, and then your body weight is separated. So for me, I'm in the 86 plus body weight. So I just compete against people in that same body weight class. And that's really how it's broken up for powerlifting.
It's really cool and amazing. We've always been wanting to get into powerlifting on the show, so thank you for joining us. Is there any specific techniques that you use while you're lifting?
Definitely the techniques. So our sport is heavily focused on technique. A lot of people think that you just go out there and lift heavy and you can make it, but the judges do look at your form and technique and make sure that you're controlling the bar well. So your ascend to your chest is important. They don't want to see you drop the weight. And then stopping on your chest perfectly steady, no rocking the bar, and then pushing up forward. So my technique is just following that technique and making sure I have a perfect lift every time.
For yourself, like, how did you get into the sport of powerlifting? Like, what was your journey to being the first female to represent USA since 2012 at the Paralympics? Like, that's a huge accomplishment, but where did the journey start for you?
Yeah. So my journey started in 2012, actually. I started in para track. I was doing shot put, disc, and javelin. I did that for about 4 years. And then in 2016, I actually saw a video on Facebook for powerlifting, and I just thought it was so cool. It looked like a real good challenge. So I contacted the coaches and they invited me to a camp. And once they saw me lift for the first time, they're like, this girl is strong. She needs to be on this team. And they kind of just pulled me away from track and field and powerlifting. I haven't looked back since. So that's where I kind of started there.
That's really amazing. And in 2024, you made your Paralympic debut in Paris. What was that experience like, from the village to the event to everything around there in France?
It was an amazing experience. I always tell people that it's pretty much like Disneyland, or it's like the happiest place on earth. like, it's just a place where, like you say, in the village, all the athletes, no matter what country you're from, we're all there with the same intent to win, to be the best at our sport, no matter what sport you play, no matter what country you're from. And just to have that equal, what do you call it? Equal passion or dream is just, it's fun because you don't have to think that, oh, this person is on something else. Everybody's in the same mindset. Everybody's pursuing the same goal. And Paris was nice. It was nice to be in front of a 7,000 people crowd. I've never been in front of that many people lifting before. So that was just a adrenaline rush. It went by so fast, even though I try to take my time and just soak it in, but it just goes by so fast, and really looking forward to having that kind of experience again in LA.
Yeah, for yourself, it's going to be in your own backyard, essentially. Like, how are you feeling as you kind of prep and start to head down the road for LA 28? And what goals do you have for those Paralympics?
It's definitely, sometimes I'm nervous, sometimes I'm excited. It's just like that pressure. Of course, I'm going to be in LA, but I can't think too far in advance. I need to focus on, the journey to there, all the competitions coming up, so I can make it, to LA. But it would definitely be like the ultimate great experience, happy moment, that especially to have my family there, friends there. A lot of family don't get to see me compete because I'm always competing out of the country. So it would be an awesome for them to be there, and for myself to just hear that backing, because it would definitely be USA. People are going to be cheering for USA. So it's just going to be an awesome time. But the road there is going to be difficult and hard, but I'm expecting to be there, and my goal is to be on the podium for sure. That's my ultimate goal.
The journey is amazing. The journey is beautiful, and hopefully it can happen. You're a major advocate for mental health, and throughout your journey and even in your advocacy work, how has that helped you be a better athlete, be a better performer in powerlifting?
It's helped me tremendously, just training mentally more. Like I always tell people, I feel like it's more important than the physical part, because if you can't believe that you can do something, then your body's not going to believe it as well. And it definitely helped me, because I used to be very nervous as an athlete, and it would affect my competitions, it would affect my performance. And I'm like, I don't want that. So just working on bettering my thoughts, my visualization, those things have, ultimately helped me perform better, be more confident in my lifts and in my career.
What is the biggest skill or ability that a powerlifter needs to have in the sport to be successful?
That's a good question. I would think it is strength. Definitely just, and technique. Like I said, going back to what I said before, even if you do have all the strength in the world, if your technique is not there, the judges are not going to judge in your favor. So I think focusing on the technique is the biggest thing, and making sure you lift the correct way, the safe way, and, not have injuries and all that. So that would be number one for me.
Do you have any pre-competition rituals or superstitions that you have to go through?
No, I don't really have any rituals or superstitions. I would just say there's like the plan in place. I just make sure the night before I go to sleep early. I rest maybe throughout that day. I don't go out or, stay in the hotel as much as I can. Then the day of, I make sure I get a good breakfast, just depending when I'm lifting. Sometimes I lift early in the day, or sometimes my competition's later in the day. So making sure I start off the day with a good breakfast, and listening to some good music, hype music, keeping myself focused, and then just remembering all the things I've learned. Because at this point, I've learned everything I can learn. I've trained the much I can train, and I just have to go out there and do it. So,
what would be the biggest misconceptions that you've come across around your sport of powerlifting?
The biggest one is always, that we're not natural, that we are cheating to be strong, or don't do all, the illegal things. But I would say, especially for America, we get drug tested on a regular basis. So that's one of the things that is not true. So yeah.
Nathan can speak to that as well. I know.
Yeah. Yeah. The fun side of sport. But kind of in that same line of questions, is there anything that you want people to know most about your sport?
That it's competitive, it's fun, it's, people going out there and just lifting astronomical weight. And we're doing it just upper body strength. Our feet are off the ground, we're strapped in, and we're just going straight, up. So that's the best part about it. And it's fun. Get involved, enjoy it, watch. I don't.
Well, and that's one of the beauties of the para side, where it's like you don't have the benefit of using the power from your legs, from your lower body, because on the able body side, you're seeing the back arching, you're seeing so much weight generated from the ground. It's all upper body strength on the para side.
Yeah, exactly. It's just pure upper strength. So it's just amazing the weight that people can lift.
And one thing we noticed about you, Ashley, is on your socials, you, just like us, have a love of food. Now, what would be your go-to pre-competition meal?
Ooh, so my go-to pre-competition meal is not very fun or interesting. It's oatmeal. It's the one thing that I know I can take anywhere with me in the world, and I can make it myself. It's the one thing that's easy to digest. I don't ever feel, my stomach doesn't get upset or anything. So it's my go-to no matter where in the world I am. So it's not fancy. It's not the best thing, but it gets the job done.
You were just in Egypt and in Paris and in France last year. And one great thing about sport is just we get to travel to so many different locations and we get to try different foods and different dishes. Do you have a favorite food destination of yours that's personal to you?
For me, it's always going to be Tokyo, Japan. Like, Japanese food is like the top. Sushi is my favorite. So I did get the opportunity to go to Japan in 2019, the year before the games. That's all I wanted was sushi. So that's my place. Yeah.
What about places to compete? Because you mentioned you've been to a lot of different places, many different continents. What is the best place you've ever competed in, or best venue?
Other than Paris, I want to say Chile was a really cool place. That was a nice venue, but Paris is definitely number one because I would say that arena was the first time we had like a 360 of audience. That was pretty cool. So that was my favorite place.
Is there anywhere you haven't competed yet that you hope to compete down the road or one day?
Definitely here in California. I haven't had any competitions here within the state, and I'm hoping it's not LA 28. It won't be the only time. I hope there's something before that or there's more things after, but definitely I wish I had a competition out here.
Well, Ashley, this has been phenomenal. We're definitely going to be following along and cheering along your career as you head down the road for LA 28. Thank you so much for sharing some information and insight into the world of powerlifting. It's new for us, but it's definitely a sport we love to watch now. Absolutely. I appreciate you guys. Thank you for inviting me. And that was our conversation with para powerlifter Ashley Dyce. Nathan, lots to get into with that conversation. First off, though, I just love her energy. I mean, for someone in such a physical, grueling sport, it's just how bubbly and excited and just happy-go-lucky as she is in chatting with her. I could chat with her all day. Yeah, just her energy is absolutely amazing and fantastic, and just that passion that she has for her sport, and she's such a great ambassador and just someone to really promote that sport and share it, as this is something that we didn't really know much about leading into this interview, but just to hear about the technique, the skill, and just really understanding like the force and movement that they have to have when they're bringing weight up. It's just absolutely phenomenal, and definitely something that I want to dive into a lot more down the road. But were there any like big takeaways from that conversation for you, Alex? Well, I just appreciate that she kind of broke down the sport a bit for us, because this is the thing that people might not understand. It's like in a standard powerlifting competition, whether it's on a bench or standing, it's like you have the use of your legs, and the amount of power and strength you can generate from the lower body is huge. So for the para side, the fact that you are either have limited motion or strength in your leg. You're strapped to a table, so you can't even use your legs. You can't arch your body in the same way as a result. So it really comes down to the upper body strength to be able to move these incredible amounts of weight is really impressive. And I just, the fact that she is someone who is, still somewhat relatively new to the high performance side of it. Obviously, she talked about getting her start back in 2012, but, making her first Paralympics in Paris and going to the World Championships and stuff. The amount of travel she's already done is quite impressive.
It really is. And to have a games coming up in her home country of hopefully she qualifies and is able to represent the U.S. there, but especially with a lot of the backing the U.S. is doing for the Olympic and Paralympic athletes right now. And we've talked about how there's setups and things in place to really support the American athletes leading into LA, but also afterwards as well. It's a really big time to be a U.S. Olympic or Paralympian chasing that dream, and especially for her, that bubbly energy, that excitement to compete and have an opportunity to race in her home state, have that home opportunity to represent the U.S. at home. It's really exciting, and that becomes your fuel at some point when you're training on those tough days, on those hard days. It brings out that 5, 10, 15% more, and it's going to be really exciting to follow that journey and see what she's able to accomplish.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of fire and competition, you have a little competition for me today. I'm not sure if I've done all my warm-up. I don't think I've done my mental exercises to prepare, but throw it at me anyways, Nathan, because you have a new edition of Guess at Parasport.
Yeah, before we dive into this, Alex, if you need to do any stretching, any vocal warm-up, really get that mindset going, I'll let you get into a darkness retreat for a couple minutes if you really want to. I'll let you get set, but we got 3 sports that we're going to be trying to get you to guess today. So starting off, I have 3 questions for each of these sports. So if you're ready, we're going to get going.
Let's do it.
All right. The first one, it's a sport played on a sheet of ice.
Okay, so most winter para sports, and let's just confirm. So these aren't necessarily all Paralympic sports, correct?
I'm not giving away my questions.
You're not giving away anything, so I take that as a yes. Okay, I'm going to go with para ice hockey.
It is not para ice hockey.
Okay.
All right. And this kind of alludes to what we just talked about. This isn't a Paralympic sport.
Okay. Well, that kind of solved my my question then. Okay, non-Paralympic. I would say, is it something like para speed skating?
It is not para speed skating. You can find facilities in Whistler and Calgary for this sled sport.
Oh, okay. So I think I'm gonna go with para bobsled, but it could also be like para skeleton or para luge.
Good try. It was para luge.
Oh,
I'll give you half points for that because you were pretty well right on there,
yeah.
right on it. Now let's get into our second sport. It is a team summer sport.
Okay. Gotta try to redeem myself. Of course, there are literally like a dozen team summer Paralympic sports, and now that there's potentially non-Paralympic sports involved, it could be any number. I'm gonna go with, because I just watched Bring Her Back, I'm gonna go with goalball.
It is not goalball.
Okay.
But like goalball, synchronization is everything in this sport.
Okay. And the first clue was it's a team summer sport, correct?
Yep.
I'm going to go with Paris synchronized swimming. Is that even a sport? I'm not sure, but that's where my mind goes.
It is not parasynchronized swimming.
Okay.
But if that ever becomes a sport, I think you and I have to enter in there and see what we can do in that sport.
Oh yeah, we have to don the caps and the one-piece suits and get in there with some water wings.
Let's do it. Got to find the right water wings for us. Now,
yes.
You can have me hum if you need me to, but This sport was included in a very famous nursery rhyme, at least for our English audience, that we would have heard when we were very, very little.
What? What kind of clue is that? Okay. I need to think of this. Read me the clues one more time, please.
All right. It is a summer team sport. Synchronization is everything in this sport. And this sport is mentioned in a famous nursery rhyme.
I have no clue. Literally no clue.
I can hum.
Synchronization.
If you need me to.
Yeah, sure. Let's get you humming. Let's get you humming. Para rowing.
There we go.
Okay. I was thinking ring around the rosy. I don't know where I was going with that. Para rowing. Okay, thank you for I will say the fourth clue of you humming, so I appreciate that.
Now we got me humming on the show. That is good. Now the final sport.
Yes.
It is played in motorized wheelchairs.
Ooh, okay. Motorized wheelchairs. I'm going to say power chair soccer.
You are correct.
Yes. Oh,
ding, ding,
right
ding,
off,
ding, ding.
Right off the, it could have been power chair hockey or power chair soccer. I have played power chair hockey, and I will say I was playing against the players with the power chair. I had a manual chair. I had no hope in hell of being able to keep up with anybody, because those things can definitely zip. Nathan, thank you for putting that together for me. I appreciate it. But unfortunately, just like those power chairs, we're zipping out of time, because that's the end of today's episode. So thank you at home for watching and listening. Did you get any of those ones correct as well? Leave a comment below and let us know. We'll catch you next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Parasport Nation. Like and subscribe to the channel to follow us now.